Chapter 1. A Crash and a Discovery. The endless expanse of space stretched before Jace like a dark ocean, punctuated only by distant stars and the faint glow of nebulae casting eerie colors across the void. For 15 years, he had lived on the fringes of the galaxy, in a dusty mining colony known as Outpost Dion, a place that hung precariously on the edge of civilized space, where survival was a daily challenge and hope a scarce commodity. The colony was little more than a scattering of battered modules patched together, surrounded by piles of salvaged scrap and relics of forgotten technology, all worn thin by relentless storms of cosmic dust and the harsh glow of the planet's sun, a red dwarf star that barely lit the sky. Jace, the son of the colony's chief mechanic, was no stranger to hardship. His life was a patchwork of tireless work scavenging parts, repairing broken machines, and dreaming of a future beyond the rust and ruin that marked their existence. The planet itself was merciless, a desert world scarred by dry canyons and choking red dust storms that swept relentlessly, swallowing everything in their path. Water was precious, food even more so, and yet the colony survived through sheer grit and the ingenuity of those who refused to give in. On this particular day, Jace's world was about to change irrevocably. His father had taken their aging cargo ship out beyond the asteroid belt in hopes of finding salvage that could buy them another few months of life. The ship, an ancient model barely holding together with scraps and clever jury rigs, rattled and groaned as it sailed through the dense field of rocks. Jace sat in the cockpit, eyes sharp and hands steady, monitoring the worn instruments as the stars flickered past. Suddenly, a violent pulse of cosmic radiation, a flare from a nearby dying star, surged through the ship's systems, disrupting navigation and communications in a flash of blinding light. The ship lurched uncontrollably, alarms screaming as controls failed and the hull trembled. Jace's father shouted orders, struggling to stabilize the descent, but the ship spiraled downward, hurtling toward the uncharted planet below. The crash was violent and unyielding, the impact throwing them forward as metal twisted and glass shattered. Jace blacked out amid the chaos. When he finally regained consciousness, pain radiated through his body, but he was alive. The cockpit was a mangled ruin, wires sparking and smoke curling in thin tendrils. With great effort, he forced the hatch open and stumbled out onto the rocky surface, blinking against the harsh orange light of the planet's twin suns setting behind distant mountain ranges. The air was thin and dry, carrying the scent of iron and dust, but it was breathable, and that alone was a miracle. As he looked around, he realized they had crashed in the midst of an alien settlement. Strange structures of crystalline and bioorganic materials rose around him, glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The inhabitants were unlike any beings he had ever imagined. Tall and slender, their skin shimmered like polished sapphire, translucent enough to reveal subtle patterns of glowing veins beneath. Their eyes, large and luminous, reflected curiosity and fear. The villagers moved cautiously toward him, their movements graceful yet tentative, whispers flowing through the crowd in a melodic language that sang of age-old traditions and alien heritage. Jace's heart pounded not just with fear, but with awe and wonder. Here, on this distant, forgotten world, he had stumbled upon a civilization struggling against the cruel grip of starvation and decay. The village elder, a dignified figure whose translucent robes shimmered with ethereal light, stepped forward. His voice was calm and resonant, spoken in broken fragments of the galactic common tongue that Jace had been taught in school but never mastered. "Human child, you come from Skyfire, bringer of change. Our hunger is deep. We live on the edge of death. Can you help?" Jace's mind raced as he tried to grasp the enormity of their plight. The villagers' gaunt faces told stories of relentless hardship, fields barren of crops, water sources poisoned or vanished, children too weak to stand. The alien ecosystem was collapsing under mysterious forces, and without aid, the village would perish. Jace, despite his youth and his own dire circumstances, felt a fierce determination ignite within him. He was not a hero, but he was resourceful. Around the crash site lay scattered debris, scrap metal, damaged circuits, parts from the ship that could be repurposed. An idea took hold in his mind. Perhaps with the tools and scraps left behind, he could fashion something that would give the village a fighting chance. The villagers watched, their hope flickering weakly, waiting for the stranger from the stars to show them the light. That night, as the twin moons rose and cast ghostly shadows over the village, Jace set to work. Using scavenged solar cells, bits of wiring, and broken mechanical parts, he began to build a device that could extract moisture from the thick desert air, purify it, and pump it into the parched soil. It was a crude invention, cobbled together from discarded refuse and his own ingenuity, but it was born from necessity and the unyielding will to survive. As sparks flew and gears turned beneath his hands, Jace felt the first true glimmer of hope ripple through the alien village. If he succeeded, they could grow food again, restore their water supplies, and reclaim their lives. If he failed, they would fall into darkness, a forgotten species swallowed by the merciless desert. The dawn was approaching, but Jace worked tirelessly, his young mind focused with a clarity born of desperation and determination. The future of an alien world, and the fragile bond between two very different species, hung precariously on the success of his invention. As the orange dawn bled into the cracked horizon, Jace worked feverishly, his hands moving with a steady rhythm that belied his youth. The device he was piecing together was crude but ingenious, a moisture extractor designed to pull the scant water vapor from the arid atmosphere, condense it, and funnel it into reservoirs the villagers could use. Every piece of scrap metal, every broken circuit board and frayed wire he could salvage from the wreckage was incorporated with purpose. The alien villagers watched in awe and cautious hope, their silver eyes wide with anticipation, murmuring words in their melodic language that seemed to lift the oppressive weight of despair just slightly. Shilen, the village elder, approached with a quiet dignity, his gaze fixed on the makeshift contraption as if weighing its potential against the survival of his people. Hours passed in a blur of sweat and sparks, until finally the device sputtered to life. The hum of the makeshift pumps and the gentle drip of condensed water was a music unlike any the village had heard in seasons. The thin air grew visibly cooler as the machine worked tirelessly, drawing moisture from the dust-choked sky and converting it into precious liquid. Jace's chest tightened as hope blossomed. Here, amidst the harsh alien desert, he was witnessing the fragile miracle of life renewed. The villagers gathered, their gaunt faces breaking into smiles for the first time in cycles, children tentatively reaching out to touch the steady streams of water. The elder's voice rose in a song of gratitude, a haunting melody that told stories of survival, resilience, and newfound kinship. Yet, the journey was only beginning. The device was delicate, prone to faltering under the harsh environmental extremes, and Jace knew that to truly save the village, they would need more than a single invention. He spent days teaching the villagers to build and maintain the moisture extractors, adapting their knowledge and materials to expand the technology. Slowly, tiny green shoots began to pierce the cracked earth, signaling a return of life where once there had only been dust and silence. As crops grew and the village filled again with laughter and song, a bond formed between Jace and the aliens, one forged not by blood, but by shared struggle and the promise of a brighter future. In that moment, the boy from Earth realized he had become more than a stranger lost in the stars. He was a savior, a bridge between worlds, and the spark of hope that might one day ignite a new chapter for an entire civilization. Chapter 2: Seeds of Change. The days that followed the first hum of Jace's moisture extractor were like nothing the alien village had known in countless cycles of their existence. Slowly, hesitantly, the dry cracked earth began to soften under the steady drip of reclaimed water, as tiny green shoots struggled through the barren soil, reaching desperately for the light of Virelia's twin suns. The villagers, once gaunt and hollow-eyed from the long hunger, began to gather around these small miracles, their faces softening with a cautious hope that had long been buried beneath the shadow of despair. Jace found himself thrust into a role he never expected, not just a stranger or accidental savior, but a teacher, a catalyst for change in a society bound tightly by tradition, yet teetering on the brink of extinction. The challenges were immense. The planet's atmosphere was thin and capricious, with fierce dust storms that could strip the surface of moisture and bury crops in choking layers of grit. Toxic elements in the soil had to be carefully managed, and the delicate balance of the alien ecosystem was a puzzle that Jace, despite his mechanical genius, could only begin to understand. Working alongside the villagers, he improvised new versions of his invention, integrating parts from the wrecked ship and local materials. Crystalline fibers harvested from giant desert blooms, bioluminescent algae that could purify water and enhance plant growth, and energy cells that harvested sunlight with an efficiency far beyond human technology. Together, they fashioned a network of moisture extractors and irrigation systems that wove through the village like veins of life, each one a testament to the union of human ingenuity and alien resilience. But it was not just technology that had to be rebuilt. The village was fractured by years of hardship and distrust, old rivalries and scars that no machine could repair. Jace learned quickly that to nurture the fragile shoots of survival, he had to tend the wounds of the people as well. Through shared labor and long conversations beneath the burning sky, barriers began to fall. The villagers, once wary of this strange human boy, came to see him as kin, a symbol of hope and determination who dared to dream beyond the limitations imposed by fate. Shailen, the elder who had first spoken of hunger and death, became a steadfast ally, bridging traditions with innovation and encouraging others to embrace the possibilities Jace brought. Children followed him eagerly, learning to build and repair, their laughter a balm against the silence of years lost. As crops began to flourish and the village's food stores swelled with vibrant fruits and grains, word spread beyond the desert canyons. Neighboring settlements, once isolated and disconnected, sent emissaries to witness the miracle born of scraps and human daring. Some came with skepticism, others with envy, but all left with a glimmer of hope rekindled by the tangible proof of survival. Jace found himself at the center of a movement, not just to save one village, but to inspire a wider renaissance across a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet, amid this blossoming hope, dark clouds gathered beyond the horizon. The forces that had long sought to control and divide these desert peoples, powerful factions clinging to old power and fearful of change, saw the humans' inventions as a threat to their authority. Sabotage, whispered rumors, and shadowy figures lurking in the night tested the fragile bonds forged in sunlight and sweat. Jace and the villagers faced not only the harsh elements, but also the machinations of those who would see their progress undone. In the face of such trials, the boy who had crash-landed amidst alien sands found his resolve hardening. The invention born from trash was more than a machine. It was a symbol of resistance, a testament to the indomitable will of life itself. And Jace, once a lost wanderer, was now a beacon guiding a people toward a future where survival was not a desperate hope, but a shared triumph. Chapter 3: The Storm of Shadows. The desert sun beat relentlessly on the fragile village now humming with renewed life, its fields stretching out green and vibrant where once only dust and despair had ruled. Jace walked among the alien villagers, whose once hollow faces were now alight with cautious optimism, their slender hands tending to crops that whispered of salvation. His invention had sparked a rebirth, but he knew the hard road ahead was far from over. Beneath the surface of celebration, darker currents stirred, forces old as the desert itself, fueled by fear and the hunger for control. The fragile harmony was under siege from factions that thrived in chaos, their ambitions threatening to unravel the delicate threads of unity Jace and the villagers had so painstakingly woven. Among these shadows lurked Varek, a charismatic but ruthless warlord from a rival settlement who viewed Jace's technology as a direct challenge to his dominion over the scattered desert clans. With a band of loyal marauders armed with scavenged weapons and driven by desperation, Varek launched a campaign of intimidation and sabotage. Night after night, strange fires burned at the edges of the village. Irrigation channels were clogged with debris, and whispers of betrayal seeded distrust among the once unified people. The crops, so precious and fragile, faced not only the cruelty of the planet's harsh elements, but the insidious threat of human malice masked in alien guise. Jace's youthful face, marked by soot and sweat, grew grim as he stood with Shailen and Illyra, the village's strongest warriors and wisest elders, beneath the skeletal limbs of a twisted tree that bore witness to centuries of strife. "We cannot let fear consume us," Shailen intoned, his silver eyes piercing the gathering dusk. "This storm is unlike any we've faced. But we have something they do not: unity, hope, and the courage to build from ruin." Alira, her voice steady but fierce, nodded in agreement. "We must strengthen our defenses, teach every able-bodied villager to protect what we have reclaimed. The machines we build are tools, but it is the will of the people that will see us through." Jace spent sleepless nights designing improvements to his inventions: solar-powered alarms to warn of approaching danger, reinforced moisture extractors guarded by watchful sentries, and concealed caches of supplies hidden beneath the crimson sands. He worked alongside the villagers, their collaboration transforming the settlement into a fortified bastion of survival and hope. The young mechanic's hands, once untested beyond the confines of his home world, now wielded tools and technology that bridged galaxies and cultures, turning desperation into strength. Yet, the greatest battle was not fought with weapons or machines, but within the hearts and minds of the people. Varric's propaganda sought to fracture the unity Jace had helped forge, exploiting old prejudices and fears. Some villagers wavered, torn between loyalty to tradition and the uncertain promise of change. In whispered gatherings, doubts were sown like seeds in barren soil. Jace knew that to prevail, he would need to become more than a builder of machines. He must become a leader, a symbol of hope who could inspire trust and courage. One evening, beneath a sky ablaze with swirling auroras, Jace stood before a gathered crowd in the village square. His voice, steady and clear, carried across the silent faces lit by flickering lanterns. "We are not just survivors," he declared. "We are the makers of our future. This land, this life, is ours to protect and nurture. The storms outside and the shadows within can break us, but only if we let them. Together, we are stronger than fear and division. Together, we will thrive." His words stirred something deep within the people, a rekindling of the fierce determination that had carried their ancestors through millennia of hardship. The villagers rose, their voices joining in a song of unity and defiance, a battle hymn that echoed across the desert canyons and soared beneath the twin suns. In that moment, Jace felt the full weight of his journey, from a boy lost among stars to a beacon of hope leading a people toward survival and renewal. The struggle was far from over. Varric's forces would return, fiercer and more cunning. But the village was no longer fragile, no longer broken. It was alive, breathing and fighting, and ready to face whatever storm approached, a testament to the power of invention, courage, and the unyielding human spirit that had crossed the cosmos to change the fate of a distant world. Chapter 4: Dawn of a New Era. The horizon was painted with the first gentle hues of dawn, the twin suns of the desert world rising slowly to cast their warm light over the revitalized village that now stood as a testament to resilience, hope, and the unyielding spirit of two worlds united. Where once there had been only dust and despair, fields of green stretched toward the sky, nourished by the ingenuity of a boy who refused to surrender to fate. The villagers moved with a renewed purpose, their daily routines transformed by the promise of life sustained and futures reclaimed. Yet beneath this burgeoning peace lay the echoes of battles fought, both against the harshness of the environment and the shadows of fear and mistrust that had threatened to unravel their fragile unity. Jace, now no longer just a stranger from a distant star, but a son of the village and a beacon of hope, walked through the bustling market square, the sounds and scents of renewed life filling the air. Children laughed and played under the watchful eyes of elders. Vendors offered vibrant fruits and grains harvested from once barren soil, and the hum of machinery his machines permeated every corner, quietly pumping life-giving water and energy throughout the settlement. Yet, even amid the joy, Jace's thoughts were drawn to the future, the challenges yet to come, and the heavy mantle of leadership that had fallen upon his young shoulders. The battle against scarcity had not only been a fight for survival, but a profound journey of transformation. Jace had learned the language of the land and the hearts of its people, blending his human knowledge with the ancient wisdom of the alien elders. The inventions he had crafted from scraps of metal and forgotten technology had grown into a network of life-sustaining system solar collectors that powered water purification plants, atmospheric condensers that harvested moisture even in the driest storms, and agricultural hubs where genetically modified seeds, nurtured by the village's combined expertise, flourished. Each success was a triumph over the relentless desert, a step closer to securing a legacy not just for the village, but for an entire planet on the brink. Yet peace, as Jace understood, was a fleeting gift in a universe defined by change and conflict. News came from distant settlements, some inspired by their success and eager to adopt the new technologies, others resistant and suspicious, their leaders fearful of the shift in power and influence. The rival warlord Varek, though pushed back, still lingered as a threat, his followers driven by desperation and rage, willing to ignite violence to reclaim lost dominion. Jace knew that the security of the village would require vigilance, diplomacy, and the continuing evolution of both technology and trust. One evening, under a canopy of stars shimmering like scattered diamonds against the velvety night, Jace convened a council of elders, warriors, and innovators. The air was thick with anticipation as voices rose in discussion of trade agreements, defensive strategies, and plans for expansion. The boy who had once been a mechanic on a dying outpost now stood as a leader, his vision shaping the future of a world reborn. "We have come far," Jace spoke, his voice steady yet imbued with the weight of responsibility. "But the journey is not over. Our strength lies in unity, between our people, our technologies, and the hope we carry. Together, we will face whatever comes, not as scattered clans, but as a thriving community bound by shared purpose." The council's decisions led to alliances with neighboring settlements, creating a coalition dedicated to mutual aid and sustainable development. Jace's inventions spread across the deserts, transforming desolation into oases of life. Education programs were established, blending human science with alien knowledge to foster innovation and resilience. The village, once on the edge of extinction, blossomed into a beacon of progress and cooperation, a shining example of what could be achieved when worlds collided and collaborated. But beyond the tangible achievements, it was the transformation of hearts and minds that was most profound. Fear and suspicion gave way to curiosity and respect, isolation to interconnectedness. Jace watched as friendships blossomed, as young aliens learned to read the stars with new eyes, and as the stories of survival and unity wove into the cultural fabric of the people. He understood, deeply, that the greatest invention was not the machine but the spirit it inspired, a spirit that transcended species, worlds, and the vast distances of space. As the twin suns rose higher, bathing the village in golden light, Jace stood once more on the balcony of the Elders' Hall, looking out over the land that had become home. Lasara, the child who had first welcomed him with hope, ran to his side, her laughter a joyful echo of the life they had saved together. "We did it," she said simply, her eyes shining with the promise of tomorrow. Jace smiled, feeling the profound truth of her words ripple through his soul. They had not just survived, they had thrived. They had rewritten the destiny of a people, proving that even from the humblest beginnings, from scraps of trash and shards of broken dreams, greatness could rise. And so, beneath the vast expanse of a sky filled with stars and possibility, a new era dawned, one born of courage, creativity, and the unbreakable bond between a human boy and an alien village. Their story was a testament to the power of hope and the extraordinary strength found in the simplest acts of invention and compassion. Chapter 4: The New Dawn. The desert planet's sky stretched wide and endless above the thriving village, painted in hues of violet and gold as dawn broke over the distant horizons. What was once a barren wasteland, harsh and unyielding, now pulsed with the slow, steady heartbeat of life renewed. The green fields, nourished by Jace's inventions and the tireless efforts of the alien villagers, shimmered softly under the twin suns' early light. The air was thick with the fragrance of blossoming flora, an intoxicating blend of alien spices and moist earth that was as foreign to Jace's senses as it was invigorating. Children's laughter echoed through the streets. mingling with the hum of machinery and the gentle clatter of daily routines that now promise survival rather than struggle. Jace stood atop a ridge overlooking the settlement, his figure silhouetted against the radiant glow of morning. In his hands, he held a crude but powerful symbol of their journey, a compact device crafted from scraps and salvaged parts, designed to draw moisture from the air, irrigate the soil, and breathe life into this forgotten world. The machine had become more than technology. It was a beacon of hope, a testament to the extraordinary fusion of human ingenuity and alien resilience. Around him, the villagers moved with renewed vigor, their once-worn faces now alight with confidence and purpose. Elders who had seen countless cycles of drought and despair now spoke of a future they dared to imagine, a future where the village could flourish, expand, and reclaim its place among the stars. Yet, the dawn brought not only light, but a reminder of the fragile balance they had achieved. Far beyond the protective borders of their home, whispers of change rippled through the desert winds. Other settlements, isolated and guarded by their own fears and traditions, watched with wary eyes. For some, Jace's success was an inspiration. For others, a threat to the established order. The power dynamics of the planet, long shaped by scarcity and suspicion, were shifting. Old rivalries flared anew, alliances wavered, and the shadow of conflict lingered on the horizon. Jace knew that the true test of their survival was not merely the bounty of their fields, but the strength of their unity against forces that sought to divide and conquer. In the great hall of the village, under a dome carved from translucent crystal that captured the star's light, Jace convened a gathering of leaders, warriors, and innovators. His voice rang clear and unwavering as he addressed the assembly. Our journey has been one of survival, but now it is a journey of stewardship. We hold in our hands the power to transform not just this village, but the fate of our world. But with power comes responsibility, to protect what we have built, to reach out and trust to our neighbors, and to stand firm against those who would see us falter. The room buzzed with a mixture of hope and apprehension. The elders spoke of diplomacy, the warriors prepared defenses, and the inventors dreamed of new machines and breakthroughs. Together, they crafted a vision, one that blended tradition and progress, anchored in the shared goal of lasting peace and prosperity. Days bled into weeks as Jace led efforts to expand the reach of their inventions, training teams to build and maintain the water harvesters and irrigation networks, while forging alliances with other clans willing to embrace change. Trade routes reopened, goods and knowledge flowed, and a tentative coalition of settlements began to emerge from the dust. Education flourished, blending human scientific principles with alien lore, creating a new generation equipped to face the challenges of a harsh world with creativity and courage. Jace watched as hope blossomed not just in the soil, but in the hearts of the people, a vibrant tapestry woven from resilience, trust, and shared purpose. But even in this burgeoning era, dangers lurked. Varek, the rival warlord who had once sought to crush the village's spirit, had not vanished into oblivion. His forces lurked in the shadows, regrouping and plotting to reclaim power through stealth and sabotage. Jace knew that vigilance was paramount, that the peace they had fought for could be shattered in a moment. He worked tirelessly with the village's defenders, designing early warning systems and coordinating patrols, blending technology with ancient tactics passed down through generations. Every night, under the cold light of distant stars, Jace pondered the delicate dance of survival, a balance between hope and caution, progress and protection. In quiet moments away from the bustle of leadership, Jace reflected on his journey from a solitary boy on a dying colony to a catalyst of transformation on a distant world. The alien villagers had become his family, their struggles intertwined with his own dreams. Lasara, the child who first greeted him with a mixture of wonder and hope, had grown alongside him, a symbol of the future they were building together. Her laughter was a constant reminder that even in the harshest deserts, life could thrive when nurtured with care and courage. As the twin suns climbed higher, bathing the land in warmth and light, Jace knew that their story was far from over. The challenges ahead would be greater, the stakes higher, but they had forged a foundation that could withstand the harshest storms. Together, they would face whatever the universe dared to send, united by invention, bound by hope, and driven by the unbreakable spirit that had carried them from the brink of extinction to the dawn of a new era. The desert winds shifted as a quiet calm settled over the village, a momentary peace earned through unyielding perseverance and the fragile promise of renewal. Jace stood amidst the vibrant fields, watching the green leaves sway gently against the ochre sands that had once claimed this land. He felt the weight of what had been accomplished, a miracle born from discarded scraps, desperate hope, and the extraordinary collaboration between a human boy and an alien people. Around him, the villagers moved with a grace born of gratitude and confidence, their eyes bright with dreams that stretched beyond the horizon. Children played freely, their laughter weaving through the alleys and open spaces, while elders shared stories of survival and triumph beneath the now flourishing groves. Every corner of the settlement echoed with life reclaimed. Yet, Jace understood that their journey was not simply about survival, but about transformation, a metamorphosis that redefined what was possible when courage met creativity. The machines he had built, once simple contraptions fashioned from trash, had evolved into complex systems sustaining entire ecosystems. Water harvesting units hummed tirelessly, solar arrays soaked up the twin sun's rays to power homes and workshops, and bioengineered crops promised food security for generations to come. The alien villagers had embraced these innovations with open hearts, integrating their ancient wisdom with the spark of human ingenuity to build a future neither could have envisioned alone. But peace was a fragile treasure, easily shattered by shadows lurking beyond the light. Varek, the warlord who once sought to crush their hope, remained a threat on the edges of the desert, his forces fractured but unbowed, fueled by bitterness and greed. Knowing this, Jace and the village leaders fortified their defenses, combining technology with traditional strategies to guard against raids and sabotage. Early warning systems, built from repurposed sensors and communication arrays, scanned the horizon day and night, while patrols of armed villagers stood ready to protect their home. The community had become not just a refuge but a bastion of resilience, a living testament to the power of unity against adversity. In the evenings, beneath the shimmering tapestry of stars, Jace found solace in quiet moments with Lysara, the girl who had first welcomed him into this world. Her presence was a balm to the weariness of leadership, her laughter a reminder of the simple joys amid hardship. Together, they dreamed of expanding their vision, spreading the knowledge and technology to distant settlements, building a network of hope across the desert world. Education centers began to form, where young minds learned the science of water, soil, and life, blending human innovation with alien heritage. It was a renaissance born from desperation but fueled by determination, a beacon lighting the way toward a sustainable future. The villagers, once fragmented by fear and scarcity, had become a community bound by shared purpose and mutual respect. Old divisions gave way to collaboration, and the once silent deserts echoed with songs of renewal and peace. Jace often marveled at how far they had come, from the ruins of a crashed ship to the flourishing heart of a civilization reborn. His role had shifted from that of a lone survivor to a leader and teacher, a bridge between worlds who embodied the promise that no matter how harsh the universe, life could thrive when nurtured with care and courage. And so, beneath the twin suns that warmed their land, the village faced the future with eyes wide open and spirits unbroken. The storms would come again, fierce winds, shifting sands, and the lingering threat of human foes, but they would face them together. For they had learned that survival was not just a battle against the elements or enemies, but a triumph of hope, invention, and the unbreakable bonds forged between strangers who chose to become family. As the first rays of morning bathed the village in golden light, Jace raised his eyes to the horizon, heart swelling with the certainty that their story was only beginning. From the humblest scraps, they had crafted a new dawn, a dawn where stars no longer marked the boundaries of isolation but the horizons of possibility.